So, about 1,000,000 years ago, in a land far, far away, a new backpacker went ahead and created a video about a piece of gear he was really excited about. It was a Photon stove that was built off of the Don Johnson design for Photon stoves. Got it boiling water in about 4 minutes, 2 cups of water. 1,000,000 years ago, it's about 13 years ago. And now he has way better video equipment, better site and location to do this, and he's going to do a little bit of an update to this using a new piece of gear, the Sterno Inferno, with the alcohol stove. So bear with me for a minute and we'll see what we can do. So what is the piece of gear I'm talking about, you might ask? And I will give you this. This is the Sterno Inferno. It is a combination of pot, windscreen, and stove base plate made by Sterno. And the neat thing about it, as you can see right here, is it has a heat exchanger built into the bottom of the pot. Very much in the line of the Jetboil. And what it does is it lets us use a alcohol stove that burns at a slower rate, which means we're converting less fuel into heat. And the end result of that is a higher efficiency because we don't need to burn as much fuel if we're capturing more of that heat into the pot. So we're going to do a couple of tests. I think I should be able to do this for about 10 to 15 milliliters of alcohol and get a boil off of it. And we can go into weights and stuff like that in a minute. Thanks. Okay, so we're going to go through what we have here real quick, and I'll do a quick live demonstration for you. First off, this is the Sterno Inferno itself. It does have little handles here, which can fold out or fold down. This is my own, so it's been heavily used. So I'll go ahead and open it up here. This comes off, out comes the cap. This is the base. Go ahead and fold up the little legs. Keep a little syringe in here to help measure alcohol. Mini Bic lighter. Alcohol stove. Priming pan for the stove. This is your windscreen itself, and then you get your pot itself. So, we got a thermometer here so we can go ahead and see our actual temperatures, and we can go from there. So this is the Photon stove. This is very similar to my old Photon stove. The only real difference here is this one actually has fewer jets. It looks like I've only got 8 jets on this one. The idea is to not burn as much alcohol as quickly so we get a higher efficiency. So, let's go ahead and start with some water here. Get my pot. Go ahead and add 2 cups of tap water here. I'll take a preliminary temperature here as well. So this is straight out of the tap, so I have no idea what the actual temperature is. So one of these probes, I think this is the bottom one here, it's going to say what my water is. Meanwhile, I'll go ahead and prime my stove and get it started. So don't waste your time. So, this is a 10 milliliter children's syringe for medicine. So I apologize. Probably not as accurate as it could be, but you know, free video, get what you get. So I got right about 10 milliliters here. I'm sure anybody who does precision stuff for a living is cringing and ready to murder me. But you know, that's right about 10. So I'm gonna give it 10 in the stove, and then I'm going to give it 5 more, and then about 1 more to prime it. Yeah, I know it's spilling a little bit. It happens. So the reason I'm doing 15 milliliters here is 15 milliliters is really, really close to 1 fluid ounce. Or I'm sorry, 15 milliliters is very, very close to half a fluid ounce. Okay, that gives me actually about 6, so I'm going to go ahead and use it for the last one for the priming. Okay. Over the pan for priming. Looks like the tap water is 72 degrees right now, which is interesting that it's actually warmer than the air. But hey, whatever. Science, right? Got the windscreen on, which also serves as the pot stand. And it does actually kind of lock into the stove, into the base here. I should probably put the cap in my alcohol before I go ahead and light this. this thing up. Okay, I'll give that a minute here to make sure we get a good flame going. And it looks like everything's still where you can see the camera here. Okay, so by the camera we are going to be right about 4 minutes when I put this on, I think. Actually, I can probably put it on right now. Put the top on. Go ahead and put this on. And we'll leave the temperature probe in there, see what we get. So it looks like it's actually temperature probe 2 that it's running off of. As we heat things up, I did not check the time. But it's just before 4 minutes by this clock. 93 degrees. So obviously we're heating up very, very quickly, very efficiently at this point. Waste heat. So right here, it's what I would call comfortably warm, if you can see that with my hand. There's very little flame out coming out of the windscreen and the heat exchanger on the pot. So there's really not a lot of lost heat at this point. Other features of the stove itself and the setup itself. The pot has a little bit of a pointed spout here for pouring, and the lid actually has a little bit of grating to let water out, so you can use this to cook pasta, or drain your pasta, whatever you want to do. It also comes with this little, this is actually meant to put out your Sterno fuel so you can reuse it. I have actually used this as a simmer plate before with some success. The problem is it's still kind of a little too hot to simmer with this stove. Once you get going, we're at 136 degrees. I'm not going to speed this up at all, just because I figure if you're looking at this, you want to see how long it takes to boil it. And if I do a 2x increase or something like that in speed, it doesn't really give you any consistency. So I don't want to do that. So we're at 146, climbing. We've got the top off so you can see we've got very small bubbles in there. Bad thing about this design, the lid actually fits too tight if you let it sit in there tight. So I usually do take a little bit of care to make sure that it's not sitting there too tight. Burning good here. Once again, this is on 15 milliliters of alcohol, so approximately half of a fluid ounce. If you do anything with ethanol, this is denatured alcohol, marine stove fuel technically. So if you do anything with alcohol stoves and fluid ounces, you know that fluid ounces are not actually ounces. 1 fluid ounce of alcohol, I want to say it's like 0.8 something ounces by weight. So it is not a 1-to-1 mapping. So we're at 173. Little bubbles would come up at the top. Some people call that a beginning boil, I know. 175. If I didn't say this earlier, this is in Michigan, so that we are about 300 or 400 feet above sea level, so not very high. No real elevation here. 183. $186. So I'm reading off of this one, not necessarily the other one. This one updates the other one, being wireless. 188. More little bubbles, still popping a lot quicker here. Not what I would call rolling boil, but we're getting there. 192. Got a little bit of sound coming out of the water here, actually, as it's approaching boil. 194. 199. It's getting there. We're coming up on 4 minutes here. Once again, the point of this stove is not necessarily a fast boil, but an efficient boil. 204. That's what most people would call a rolling boil. Or at least we're definitely getting into a 208. I don't expect to get much past 210. That is definitely a rolling boil. We're at 209 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're still burning. So I can probably do this on about 13 or 12. 210. Yeah, I really don't expect to get past 210. And the stove is calming down and going out, actually. So that's just about perfect. So that was on about a half of a fluid ounce, 15 milliliters, give or take. 16 if you count the one I used to prime. So, cool. Bring this back to the bench. So you might wonder how this fares out in weight versus something a little bit more conventional. So right here what we have is my full setup. I'm going to go ahead and take my little mini lighter, toss it down in there real quick. And we're going to put that back on there. Boot up my handy dandy little postal scale or food scale here. That is pounds and ounces. Right now it reads 000. Hope you can see that. I'm going to go ahead and put my cook set as I use it on there. 12.4. Go ahead and put my alcohol bottle on there. 13.8. So 13.8 ounces as a basic dry weight for this. So we're going to go ahead and remove that. And for the sake of being fair, I have a small pot here. And this is currently holding my Coleman Peak 1 canister stove. Just a little, not the most ultra light type of a thing in the world, but if I'm using a canister stove, I usually use this one because I like the heat distribution on it. So I'm going to toss that with the lid. For comparison's sake, we're coming in at 14.6 ounces. Now that doesn't include, obviously, an empty fuel can. Now this one, kudos to MSR for doing this. They give you your gross weight and your net weight. So you take those two apart, you end up with an extra 5.1 ounces. So in this case, if we put that on there, that would give us 19.7 ounces. So, oh, I actually forgot something. For the sake of fairness, I wanted to throw the mini lighter on there. So that actually brings it up to around 15. So in this case, it'd be 20.1 ounces when you factor in an empty fuel canister. So once again, that's pretty substantial savings there. If you don't, if you can actually make the efficiency work for you. So what's your takeaway here? In this case, the takeaway is this little setup significantly increases the efficiency of the alcohol stove. In my personal case, my previous setup with the Walmart grease pot, Photon stove, homemade windscreen, and everything else, was able to boil 2 cups of water from about room temperature to a full rolling boil for a few seconds like this did on about 1 fluid ounce of alcohol. With this I can do it in half the fuel, literally half the fuel. The biggest problem with most alcohol stoves is they tend to lose weight efficiency as your height goes on, because BTUs per pound of alcohol is literally half that of isobutane or gasoline or something like white gas, something along those lines. In this case, if you can increase your efficiency far enough, you can actually make this still really pay out. So we looked at the weights on this. It's really pretty impressive when you compare it to something else, like an isobutane setup, definitely versus a white gas. Downside about this, you can't really simmer. You're not going to make pancakes with this setup. Plus side, man, it's great for efficiency. I had this on Isle Royale with me, for me and my daughter, for 6 days, 2 people. Basically everything that didn't require temperature control, this is what we used. It was phenomenal. We did the whole trip, I want to say, in like 14 ounces, or 14 fluid ounces, 12 fluid ounces of alcohol. And, it was awesome. Did a great job. I was really, really impressed with it. And I picked this up locally for $20 of my own money. So that's tough to beat. Okay? Thank you very much. Hope this worked for you.